Hello, and my presentation space is kind of taking shape, although the bench behind me needs a bit of organization. What do you think? Now, I said that I would be getting another file that I thought would be good for fretting, because this one, although good in principle, is just a bit wide, so that really what you're doing is you're starting to grind down the top of the fret, which isn't what you want when you're crowning frets. You're not supposed to be filing off the very top at all. Not really, not much. Come in and see, because this arrived today, and I think this will really help. So I guess I'm being cool with the kids here and doing an unboxing video, although the boxing is really just a bag that arrived from China. So this thing is called a Baroque fret crowning file. I don't know why it's called Baroque. Is that the brand? I doubt it. I don't know. Oh, wow. It is the brand. Baroque with an R, registered trademark at the end of it. Yeah, Baroque is not spelled with an R. Well, there's an R in the middle, but there's that little R symbol at the end of the word. So I guess that is the brand. Doesn't it look nice? It wasn't terribly expensive either. I forget what I paid for it, but you know, it's been in the neighborhood of $20 or $30, if that. Nice handle with Baroque on it. And okay, so here's what we're looking at. So it just looks like, well, the whole thing is like a metal rod, but it has these grooves along it, and those grooves are what will ride on the top of the fret. And there are grooves of different width. That one's too wide. That's probably about as wide as, yeah, that is about the same size as this file, which was too wide and not very effective. If you had, say, maybe a bass guitar that had big jumbo frets on it, that might work. I don't know. But these ones, maybe that one's a bit small. I guess I'll experiment with these. Well, I'll do it right now. And they have what I think is diamond grit in the grooves. I was listening to a guy talk about his experience with a file like this, and he didn't expect that they would last very long, but actually they do. Let's try the next one up. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will use the technique that is so commonly and properly employed when crowning frets. This one may already have been done, actually. Yeah, it has. So well, not very tidily, but I'll try using this one, where you paint the top with a vivid marker. You know, draw on the top. Well, Vivid's the brand, but you know, a permanent marker. And then you file it with this crowning file until you just have a thin line down the middle, which represents the crown that you want on your fret. Maybe I've taken a little bit much off. Yes, you can see the thin line that should be there, and I've just scraped it off the remainder, but only just. That was easy. That was really easy. And the file is so smooth, that is not going to do any damage to this fretboard, which is, of course, very important. I decided I might not do fall away on the top frets because it isn't really necessary, and well, it's work. I'll think about it, but I probably won't. What I've started doing is the last step in fretting, which is fret polishing, and I do that using a rotary tool, and that paste that you can see on the frets is cutting compound, the very same stuff you would use on a car finish. And I use that with the rotary tool, and then I get a nice, what would you call that? Probably not, maybe not gloss, but it's a nice satin sheen on there, and they're very smooth. Okay, so we're just about finished here, which is kind of exciting. One of the last things we're going to have to do is put the nut in, and I want to do that before I oil the guitar and the neck, because I'm going to be putting some glue down here, and if I get oil there, that could be a problem for the glue. And when you're gluing a nut in, my understanding is that you don't really need to glue it in super amazingly permanently tight so that nothing on earth could move it. You want to potentially at some point take the nut out. You might want to replace the nut at some point, and you don't want to do any damage when that happens. So all you really need to do is put in enough glue to discourage the nut from sliding that way in the guitar. Pressure in that direction is going to be applied by the strings. Okay, so you just don't want the nut to move. Using a small file, I have filed the bottom of the nut so that that corner is at such an angle that the nut sits nice and snugly against the end of the fretboard and the wooden surface of the neck, so I'm comfortable with how that is sitting. This nut is ever so slightly wider than the fretboard. Just thinking, what would be best? Would it be best to stick it in and then shape it, or to shape it and then stick it in? In theory, you could do either and practice what would be best. I'm going to glue it in and then use a sander to just shape those edges, or a file, or whatever. Yeah, that's what I'll do. So you don't need much glue. Oops. It's probably enough on there now. And it's not, there isn't just one type of glue that's okay for this. You know, I've seen people use super glue. A guitar luthier company, Stuart McDonald, Stu Mac, recommends using Titebond. I'm using Weld Bond, which is a white glue like Titebond, but it's not just a wood glue, it's for wood, tile, glass, foam, stone, ceramics, and more. And I've always found that very good. So use whatever glue you like, really, within reason. I've spread it very thinly so that it's already starting to go tacky. And just using some tweezers here because there's a tiny bit of ooze. All right, that's gone. Okay, just going to hold this in place for a couple of minutes, but it's not really going to move much. And then I will move on and do any final fine sanding around the edges of the headstock. I've fine sanded most of the body, but I will give that a check over. And then I will oil the guitar. It's going to have an oil finish all over the body and neck.